The Lord of the Rings Online has just announced their next expansion, and this could honestly be the biggest expansion and probably the coolest expansion that Lord of the Rings Online will ever be announcing. So, MMORPG.com did release this article. I will have it linked down in the description below, but the next expansion is going to be the Wolves of Mordor. What? That is such a cool name. They were announced at Gen Con as to what that was going to look like, and there were just a lot of really, really cool things about it. There's going to be a massive amount of changes that are going to be coming to a lot of the endgame systems, and we'll get into that in just a second. I'm not going to dive too far into that in this moment. We're just going to primarily talk about what this system is going to look like and what this expansion is going to be. So, the Wolves of Mordor, we are going to be going back into Mordor, talking about the history of Sauron, and we're going to be even exploring some further areas within Mordor. I think this is going to be something that's going to be really cool, especially because we're going to be building even more on the lore of Sauron. Sauron has such deep lore that goes even farther back than just the Third Age and being the primary antagonist. And to be able to now have the LOTRO characters be able to walk through that, learn more about his history, especially coming off of the legacy of Morgoth, where they're going even farther back and learning about Morgoth's history. Now, I haven't gotten to that part in the story yet. I'm still pretty new to the game. I'm only entering in, I'm like finishing up the Moria expansion right now, but I digress from that. Either way, we get a lot of really cool information there where we're going to be able to see more depth into Sauron when we are going to be learning when he is the Lord of Wolves. That's right. Sauron is genuinely such a cool character. And I do really, really enjoy what they're going to be cooking up here. So Orion, Lotro, one of the Lotro staff at SSG, revealed that there is a ton of stuff that there is going to be moving forward here. Mordor is going to be used as like a gateway region as they continue to expand into more and more areas of Middle Earth. They're looking at including Rune in part of their future roadmap, so that's another area we can be looking forward to. Personally, I was expecting Rune to be happening in this expansion. I was really hoping we would have gotten Rune, but since we aren't, that's okay. I'm not going to be too heartbroken about it. It's fine. I'm not worried about it. We're good. We're good. I'm over it. I'm over it. I'm over it. I promise. I promise. I'm over it. Anyways, there's a lot of stuff that they want to do back in Mordor. They're wanting to do a ton of really cool things within Mordor. Specifically, they are introducing a brand new set of enemies called I'm going to butcher this, the Draugardh, which are a werewolf style race. Now, they are not your typical werewolves. They're not what you're used to seeing of like your lycanthropy of humans transforming into werewolves. They are different. They are going to have their own kind of intelligence to them, their own society to them. It's going to be a very deep lore aspect of this race, which I genuinely think is going to be one of the coolest things about this whole thing. And as we kind of dive into this article a little bit more, you can even see how this all progresses with these pictures. They put these really cool pictures here in this article that kind of shows what you're going to be looking at for a for what they are going to look like. And to kind of give a little bit more lore explanation as well, they're going to be a little bit more wolf-like creatures. They could be bipedal. They could still be on all four quadrupedal. So exactly kind of how you would expect. And basically what a lot of the lore behind the Draugardh is that they were going to be used by Sauron once he conquered Middle-earth. He was going to then unleash his wolf people out into Middle-earth after he already had full control. Now, obviously, the story did not end that way. Frodo destroys the ring, and now, then, what happens to these wolf people? That's what this expansion is going to go into. They're all going to have there are three different types, and we'll see their pictures here. We have the Garhoth, the Cruise High, which look freaking terrifying. Like, what the heck is that? Why on earth? Let me find a better thing for you guys. What the heck is that? Like, what? Look at the lack of eyes, the teeth, everything. Brother. I love it. I love it. I think they look super cool. And then we have the actual Draugrim, which look to be your typical werewolves, and you can even see they have height comparisons here against humans, against Uruk, and they're gonna be freaking massive. They're gonna look almost the size of a troll, which is gonna be really cool. I think they all genuinely look super sick. So here, the God Hoth were bred by Morgoth and Sauron. This is kind of just going into a lot of some of the lore behind what that's going to look like, and I think this is going to dive in lore-wise in a lot of really cool ways for the new systems that they are going to be um, that are going to be noted, that are going to be playing in really well mechanically. So obviously when you are looking at the world of Mordor, you're probably thinking, well, Mordor is riddled with fire, ash. It's not a very pretty place. Well, in the grand scheme of actually the map of Tolkien, we really only see a small portion of Mordor within Frodo's journey, which is the plateau of Gorgoroth. That is the area that's closest to Mount Doom and is probably been affected the most by its eruptions, as well as all of the industrialization and work that Sauron did while he was in Mordor for the thousands of years that he took up refuge there, and ultimately desolated as much of that area as you would know. But there's still a lot of areas within Mordor that were not nearly as destroyed, and that's one of the areas that we are going to be pushing towards. We're not going to be just back into Gorgoroth. We're going to be in other areas of Mordor, which I absolutely love. It's going to be looking like it's going to be way up in the northeastern part of Mordor, over in Haledres. There will be Nan Ogal and Parth Ravas, and there are pictures here of them. I'll get those pulled up. So this is Hedres Riekberg. You can kind of see the transition, like over here. You can see the what's the word? You can see it doesn't look so desolate, like the mountains look fine, but it does still look fairly desolate. And then this is Haradus Cracktooth. This still looks fairly desolate, but you can see the signs of life down in this area. The trees are still alive and not completely burned. Now, it's still fairly desolate. I don't think they're going to be able to fully get away from just the desolation of Mordor and what it is, but it's still there. It does exist, and I think that there's going to be more signs of life as we continue on. And you can see here's Non Ogal. We can see the picture here. This, as you can see, looks still kind of creepy, but like this here, oh my gosh, looks so luscious, beautiful. Just is absolutely incredible forest area, and I honestly I love the look of this, and I'm excited to get there and to explore it. But you can see not everything is desolate, and the nighttime skybox here does make Non Ogal look very eerie, and I can see this like bat creature thingy down here. That's icky, but I love this look. I think this looks very lush, very pretty, and I'm excited to see what that's going to look like. So they're definitely going through and adding a lot more depth into Mordor. They're not just taking what we know Mordor as and then absolutely changing it and making it, or not, they're not taking Mordor what we know it as and continuing that on. They're pushing past the desolation, past the wasteland. And that makes me really happy. Nan Ogal is described as a region, a land out of time, a volcanic jungle, looks eerie, houses horrors and prehistoric creatures that Sauron experimented on throughout the years. So it is going to be very different, and I'm so excited to see what that's going to look like. So with all of this new regions, there are a ton of mechanical questions that people are going to be asking, and I'm going to be clearing those up right now. First question, will there be a level cap increase? I thought we were going to be jumping up to 170 with this expansion. We will not. We are still going to be at 160. The level cap is going to remain the same, which some people might not like that. I'm okay with that. I don't think we need to have a level cap increase constantly. Otherwise, our level cap would be like 250 by this point, and that just sounds terrifying. But there will not be a level cap increase. We will still be at 160. So that's the main thing. But with this expansion is coming two new major systems. So the first system that is going to be coming out is the neighbor system. The neighbor system is inspired by cozy games that have dominated since the pandemic. Big inspirations of cozy games. Stardew Valley is a big one. My wife is absolutely obsessed with that game. Tales of the Shire is another game that comes to mind when I think of a cozy game. There's a ton of cozy games out there, and so Middle Earth is going to be a big. Now, Lotro is going to be changing Middle Earth to make a big factor into that. They're going to be adding a neighbor type system, and we'll talk about it a little bit more as we read through the article. So basically, a person in Middle Earth will effectively approach you because they heard about your escapades and they want to get to know your character even more. The new system isn't being described as an expansion of the housing system, but the next evolution. These neighbors, there is one of each of the races, the Free Peoples, effectively give you an item you can use to call and interact with them at your house. You invite them over, engage with them, and over time, learn more about them and their personality. So, this honestly is super cool because this is not going to be a system that I think is going to require you to be at level cap. This is going to be something that honestly will add a lot more depth to the player housing, which is something that I think a lot of people are really going to like, especially on Peregrine, which is my main server. There are a lot of people that have characters that they use to just kind of play a cozy game. And so for that to be a thing is huge. It is something that a lot of people are really going to enjoy. I personally am very excited. I actually have a river hobbit that I made specifically with like the cozy game atmosphere in mind, and I use him to hang out in hobbit style events. So I guess we're going to be buying a house in the Shire, sending myself some money, and we're going to be doing that because that is just going to be a great way for us to be able to hang out and explore that system. And I think it's going to be really fun to kind of do something more with that within Lotro, and I think that's going to be really fun. So each of them will appear at your home and will have a set of personality qualities that are tied to them. So maybe a homebody, maybe a hunter, maybe somebody that really enjoys flowers or creatures of the world, or maybe they really like to make things. You can go on quests for your neighbor as well. They are pretty standard for Lotro quests. Instead of getting a reward when done, your character will actually keep a journal that outlines what you did on that quest for your neighbor to read when you interact with them. Maki also mentions that you get from your neighbor will be tailored to the quest itself and their personality. So this is giving me a ton of Stardew Valley vibes. This is giving me a ton of vibes because during that game, there are certain quests that you can pick up that are catered towards each person, usually requiring you to get certain things based around that character's personality, and they'll have an aptitude towards you based around how that quest goes. So that's really cool. I genuinely think this is a really cool way to continue to flesh out the housing system within Lotro. That makes me very happy to see that, and I think a lot of the cozier Lotro players are really going to get into that. These adventures with your neighbors will also be ways to uncover their personality. Uh, they'll read the journal, they'll provide feedback on how it, so if it matches what they are, they'll tell you, oh, it was really cool, I like the part where you did this or you did this, and you earn some friendship rating, and then you earn some currency, and that currency can be used in exchange for gifts. Those gifts can also be given to your neighbors. So yeah, this is very much building on the cozy atmosphere, and I think that's absolutely massive. I think that genuinely does build Lotro's housing system even better than what it was before. And I haven't really dove into it before, but this is actually motivating me to do it a lot more. These adventures with your neighbors will be a way to uncover their personalities and develop a relationship with these neighbors. These characters will also have the chance of giving you a gift and incentivizing players to dip in daily to check on their various neighbors as part of their daily tasks. One thing to note too is you can never lose your friendship. While you progress, ebb and flow within a friendship tier, your relationship can seemingly never deteriorate so badly that you have a friendship ruined. That's cool. Even if you step away for a while, you don't have to worry about losing your friendships. I love that. I think that's a huge boon. I genuinely think that's going to help to really make the friendships so much better. And I think that's going to help for some of the more casual players who maybe don't necessarily are, or maybe aren't necessarily able to log in every single day. This gives them a opportunity to not have to worry about that too much. So, because of the different personality traits on offer, no two neighbors should be identical, even across players. While some similarities might be shared, to help with initial onboarding, there are over 100 different personality qualities that could be assigned to your neighbor. So, that's awesome. They're making a ton of unique neighbors. This is going to honestly be a huge different thing. There are plans to increase what the team ties into the system. So, this might be just huge, and even these neighbors might even be tied into the festival system. That's awesome. That's really cool. That is so sick. It does look like the neighbor system is going to be locked behind a pre-order bonus for the Wolves of Mordor. He described that the reason behind this was to give players who aren't the level cap something to do at all levels, but he does state that it's not going to be just a pre-order bonus, but the initial offering will just come out as part of the pre-order. Not exactly sure what that means. The initial offering is being given as a pre-order bonus. It is not a system that is only locked behind a pre-order offering. Okay, so you won't have access to it right away unless you pre-order Wolves of Mordor. So you'll definitely want to, if this is a system that you're interested in, you will want to pre-order Wolves of Mordor. Definitely going to want to do that. I don't know when pre-orders will be out. I might have that information later on. So one thing is clear, pre-ordering will get you access to the neighbor system right away, meaning you needn't wait for the eventual release date to start interacting with your neighbors if you pre-order. Though again, it's unclear if a basic pre-order will net you this bonus or if it's tied to one of the more expensive tiers. Um, Alternate progression. This is the next major thing. This is for your endgame people, okay? I will have everything timestamped as well, so that way you can kind of like follow along, and I probably should have put that at the beginning of the video, but it's fine. For all you endgame people, this is the thing you're going to want to look at. Okay, alternate progression. The other major feature coming to the Wolves of Mordor is an alternate endgame progression path. While the neighbor system was built to give all players at all levels something to do, this is meant to endgame players exploring the new regions of Mordor. They kind of clarified that the original Mordor system, when they first brought it up, was not great. And I'm not going to go into that because I haven't played it. I don't know yet. I don't have an opinion on that one. But they hammered out a new direction, creating a new system called the Survival Instinct system. This is a new account-based advancement system that is inherent only to the Wolves of Mordor regions. The new system is meant to provide players with power while they quest in the new areas, with the goal of eventually carrying this forward into future expansions and regions in LOTRO. This gives players access to special skills, new traits called lessons, new traits called enhancements, which are basically enhancements on lessons, and new traits called tactics. So basically, this is going to be insane. There's going to be a ton of new ways to progress that maybe isn't necessarily XP based, but there's going to be lessons, traits, things like that you are going to be able to learn to really be able to level up your character, continue to build them while you are exploring this new region. Yes, this does come with a caveat of you want to be level 160 when you get here, but this is a great new way to do some progression. It's not just gaining XP. And then from that, when you do learn these are account wide. So these don't just lock on to one character. So anything you unlock on your main toon will be accessible by alts when they're in the Wolves of Mordor content. All of this will be housed in the trait system panel located underneath the existing trait system. And then this is some of the other experiment. This is kind of like similar to some of the experiments that they did on some of the legendary servers, which there are traits in the new survival system that mimic something, which is interesting. That's cool. So I'll kind of explain this. So on the legendary servers of Angmar and Mordor, there is a possibility that a ring wraith can pop up out of nowhere and try and kill you. There will be something within this survival instinct system that will allow you to draw out a certain enemy that you want to defeat. When you do, you'll be rewarded with top tier gear or barter currency to trade towards that top tier gear from the expansion. Each of the various factions will have their own tactics, lessons, and skills to teach players tailored towards what the faction excels at, such as the Woes being more physical orientated, while the Tektikir, the Easterlings, are more tactical in nature, and the Scouts are kind of a mixture of the two. One of the skills was called Hopeful Healing. As you enhance the skill, your healing becomes more potent, and you'll eventually start applying hope to your group and to yourself so that you are modifying the hope that your entire group feels because you are so good at what you are doing right now. He continued, and that hope will actually exceed any of the other hope that exists inside of the game now, so it stacks with all other hope that's available. So, and then it goes even deeper, talking about all of these new skills and all of that kind of stuff. I'm not going to go too much into it because I think we kind of got the gist of what we're looking for here. If you want to read this all in detail, again, this article will be linked down in the description below so that way you guys can read it, get all of the information on it, especially for you endgame nerds. I know you guys are really wanting to see what this is going to look like. And then a lot of this comes in here as it concludes in the article, fueled by nostalgia. The team is getting very excited about the 20th anniversary of the game coming up. Not a ton of MMOs have been around for 20 years, and LOTRO is getting to that point. This April will be 20 years of LOTRO, which is incredible. And by golly, I wish I would have gotten into this game earlier, but I was bad at games, and now I'm better at games, and LOTRO is my favorite game of all time. So, there are a ton of things that they're looking at changing within the 20th anniversary, which is things that I've even been asking for within recent days, and I'm really excited that this is going to be stuff that's going to be coming in. So they're going to be looking at level scaling certain instances, where they started scaling them, and they're going to be going back and looking at some of those that don't scale. Some of the instances that fall under this is like Rift, and a ton of those early game instances from like Shadows of Angmar up until I don't even know what the level 100 cap was in that expansion. That's, way before my time. My first expansion that was going on when I started playing was Corsairs of Umbar right before Legacy of Morgoth released. So that's where I'm at in terms of my playtime. I'm very new to the game. Um, but there are certain things that they're looking at fixing in the early game experience. Bless. Huge. The early game experience does need a bit of a rework. I genuinely think that content scaling does need to be huge for a lot of that earlier content. Up until at least Moria, where I'm at, I really think that that's a thing that needs to happen. So I'm excited to see that that's possibly coming in the future. And then, as part of the 20th anniversary, we'd like to get back to focusing on the things that people are very nostalgic about, and that they would like to be able to play at the different level bands that we can potentially go back and retrofit. Maki explains that this is why he always hedges against saying that the team will never do something. That includes bringing back the new survival instinct system into older games in the area and smoothing out some of those nostalgic rough edges. I brought up how this system could help questing an even deem, to which Maki mentioned maybe a skill that while swimming through the lakes, you moved at 300% your normal movement speed. So that's cool. It's not saying it's going to happen, not saying it won't happen. Bringing that survival instinct system into earlier parts of the game, I think that would be cool. I think that honestly would help to again separate LOTRO from being a quote unquote WoW clone, because a lot of people look at LOTRO and they're like, well, it's just WoW but different. But I mean, any MMO is just another MMO but different. And with LOTRO being a very landscape focused area and not having its focus being primarily on raiding, that I think comes at a very much a cool thing to be able to do something like that better. I think that would be a way that would really help to separate LOTRO even more, giving those survival instinct areas certain unique skills that can be made account wide to really help change the early game leveling experience, and even just continuing to make it stand out where it's not just running around and questing constantly or powering through missions and skirmishes and things like that. I love this. I think every single change they're looking at here is going to really help to push LOTRO forward in a much better place. And so this new expansion is going to be a great way to get into LOTRO with these big changes that are coming. Huge moves happening here from SSG. Lord of the Rings, Wolves of Mordor feels like the most ambitious expansions the team has done. 2 massive new systems, new regions, a new story, and even more are on the horizon. They're looking at fall 2026 being the release window. They haven't given the exact release date yet, but fall 2026 is going to be the release window. So make sure you guys are staying up to date. As soon as that release date comes out, I will make sure that that gets made probably into a short or something, so that way everybody is kept up to date on that. But that's going to do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I do want to give a huge shout out to all of my Ko-Fi supporters. You guys are the ones that help to make this channel possible. If you would like to financially support the channel, you can do so down in the link in the description below. Make sure you guys like the video and subscribe, as well as just leave a comment about what you're excited for about this new system. And as always, you are loved, you are valued, you are fearfully and wonderfully made, and we will see you right back here in the next one. Have a wonderful day, everybody.